It's time for Orchard CMS. When developing a JavaScript-based web application, integrating into a backend system is essential. One solution is to utilize a headless CMS. Today, we will be creating an Orchard Core Headless Content Management System for an Angular 9 client blog application with search capabilities using GraphQL. Welcome back. What is a headless CMS? A headless CMS is a content management system that makes content accessible through an application programming interface. In this case, we'll be utilizing GraphQL. What is GraphQL? GraphQL is a query language for application programming interfaces. GraphQL provides a complete and understandable description of the data in your API, gives clients the power to ask for exactly what they need and nothing more. It makes it easier to evolve APIs over time. Let's go ahead and fire up Visual Studio 2019. And currently, I'm using version 16.4.5. The last update was February 11th, 2020. Let's go ahead and create a new project. Create a new ASP.NET Core web application. Let's name the project orchardskills.orchardcore.orchardcms. Hit create. And let's go ahead and select an empty template. And currently we're using .NET Core 3.11. So let's hit the create button. So the first thing I'd like to do, let's go to the project. And let's go ahead and add some item groups. So we're going to add the Orchard Core application.cms targets and also the Orchard Core.logging.nlog NuGet packages. Okay, let's go ahead and save that. And here we're going to go ahead and replace this. And we're going to be using systemthreading.task, Microsoft.ASP.NET4.hosting, Microsoft extensions.hosting, Microsoft extensions.logging, and then also Orchard Core logging. We'll also chain the main to build host with arguments, run async, and then we'll configure the application to utilize the Orchard Core logger by using .use nlog web. Okay. So let's head over to the startup.cs. So here we're going to enable cores cross-origin resource sharing so that our Angular application utilize the headless CMS. And then in the configure, we're going to replace this with app.use static files, app.use cores, and app.use routing, and app.use orchard core. Add a new item. And here, let's go ahead and create an nlog.config file. We'll set up the orchard core logging. So currently, it is set for level warn, for warning. Okay, so this is a standard configuration file for logging in Orchard Core ASP.NET. Click on the solution, right click, and then add a new item. And here we're going to specify a NuGet.config file. And then we will be looking at the Orchard Core preview feed, which is the development branch currently. Okay, let's go ahead and currently build that and run it and see if everything is working. All right, it come up okay. So let's exit out of here. So let's right click on the solution and say add new project. And let's select a class library. And for this, let's just call it the headless theme here. And go ahead and create. Okay, great. And let's go ahead and rename this. So right click and hit rename, select all our, and let's rename it to startup, and then hit the apply button and apply again. Okay, so now we have our theme project. Let's go ahead and double click on that. Now for the theme, we're going to go ahead and use Razor. So let's go ahead and add .razor on there. Add Razor support for MVC. We're going to add some item groups. So these will be all the NuGet packages that we'll be utilizing in Orchard Core. And it's orchard.admin.abstractions, orchardcore.email.abstractions, orchardcore.data abstractions, orchardcore.module.targets, orchardcore.recipe.abstractions, orchardcore.setup.abstractions, orchardcore.setup, orchardcore.contents, orchardcore.media, orchardcore.menu, orchardcore.theme targets, orchardcore content management, orchardcore display management, orchardcore resource management, orchardcore settings, orchardcore users, Orchard Core users abstractions, and finally Orchard Core users.core. So the easiest things is just to go ahead and let's start off with the theme in Orchard Core. And so we'll need controllers, recipes, views, www assets, manifest, resource manifest.cs, and startup. Let's go ahead and copy those and those into our directory here. Paste, and let's just go ahead and override the startup.cs. Okay, great. After copying the Orchard Core, the theme, into our directory, the headless theme, let's go ahead and rename the theme to the headless theme. So let's start out with startup.cs and let's just add headless here. Go ahead and save that. Let's go to the resource manifest.cs and let's just type headless here. Okay. And of course, we'll have to change this to headless and this as well. Headless and headless. Okay, so let's head to the layout here and let's go ahead and rename here as well. Headless theme. So let's go to the home controller and we'll add headless here. Okay. And let's go ahead and copy the liquid templates from the blog theme over to our headless theme here. So let's copy the article, blog list part, content blog liquid, content blog post, blog summary, and let's do this search form. And then all the widgets here. Copy all of these liquid templates over to our views directory. And then let's also go into the shared directory and copy both of these over here. Okay, great. Okay, so now let's go ahead and rename the blog themes to the headless theme. Okay, save that. For the search, do the same. Headless theme. Okay, save that. And let's go to the article and let's change this to the headless theme. Save that. And for the blog, change this to the headless. Save that. Blog post. Change this to headless. Okay, save that. And that's it. Since there's a defined class called masthead, we're going to have to define that in our CSS. So let's go into our www root, go into our CSS folder, and let's add a new item. Let's add headlesstheme.css. Add that. Let's paste that here. Okay, let's go ahead and save that. And then also let's go to the layout here. Add this line, the style line asp.source is the headless theme CSS, the headless theme.css. Okay, great. Save that. Okay, now let's modify the recipe here. So let's go ahead and utilize the blog recipe. It creates all the blog content type items. So let's go ahead and copy the snippets and then the blog theme and paste it over here to our recipe directory. And let's just go ahead and delete the sass recipe.json. Okay, so now let's go ahead and click on the blog recipe and let's rename that to the headless theme. Okay, and so let's change this here, this theme, the headless theme, a headless CMS. Change this to Orchard Skills, orchardskills.com for the tags headless. Okay, great. Let's head down here and change the blog theme to the headless theme. And then we want the site to be the headless theme. Okay, let's go ahead and save all that. Now let's head down to the anonymous roles section here, and let's add the execute GraphQL permission so that we can use the GraphQL in the Orchard Core application. Now let's head down to the query section here, add a Lacine query, and we'll call this one search blog posts, and index will be search template. We'll go ahead and create this template in this snippets directory, and the schema is base64, and return content items is true. Okay, so let's click on our snippets directory and right click and say add new item, and let's name this search blog post.json. Add that. Okay, and let's go ahead and paste that. And so we'll do a query bool must match content.content.item.full term, and the term will be content.content.item.content.type blog post. All right, let's save all that. Let's bring up the manifest.cs file here, and let's change the default theme to the headless theme, and we'll change the author to Orchard Skills. And then the website to to orchardskills.com. And then for description, we'll put headless theme. And let's go ahead and save that. Okay, let's go ahead and run the application and see if everything's working. So let's go up and hit the green little to start running. Okay, now let's go ahead and select the headless theme. Okay, let's hit the finish setup button. And there we go. We have our home, we have our blog, about page, contact, and search. And let's look for exploration, see if the search works. And there we go, our blog works. So everything is working. Okay, the first thing you want to do is install the Angular CLI. So in order to do that, you do an npm space install -g for global at angular/CLI. And if you guys didn't know it, you will also need Node. I'm using Node version 12.15.0 and npm version 6.13.4. And we're using Angular 9.0.2. Okay, notice we're in the orchardskills.orchardcore.orchardcms directory. Let's utilize the ngnew command. So we're going to do an ngnew client app is the name of the application. We'll use routing, so -- routing. -- style is SCSS. -- we want to skip the install, and we want to skip git, and we want to go ahead and enter that in, and there we go. It generated our application here. So now let's go cd client app, and let's bring up Visual Studio Code, and there we go. So one of the things that you doing Angular, it's kind of nice to have Angular tools. So let's do a search for those. So it's nice to have the Angular language service. So that's a must-have. So let's go ahead and install that. And then of course John Papa's Angular version 9 snippets. We'll go ahead and install that. So let's take a look at our package.json file here. We're using TypeScript 3.7.5, which is the latest version of TypeScript. Awesome. So let's just go ahead and try to build the application and see if everything's working. So let's go up here and create a new terminal. Okay, the first thing we want to do is an npm install, and the npm install will install all the packages that were in the project.json file. Okay, now let's do an ngserve -o, and hopefully this will all work. All right, it looks like everything's working. There's our Hello World application in Angular. A little bit more than Hello World. They've added a lot to the template here. A lot of advertising, it seems like. Okay, I think the first thing we want to do is install GraphQL into Angular. And to do that, we're going to install the Apollo GraphQL Angular schematic. And Angular has a nice way of installing components, and that's with the ng-add. So we're going to do an ng-add space Apollo-Angular. Our GraphQL got installed successfully. So if we go ahead and look at the package.json file now, you can see it had a lot of Angular stuff. Okay, good. Okay, and so we're going to need some tools for GraphQL. Let's go at npm install --save-dev GraphQL at graphql.cogen/CLI. Okay, we got that installed. Okay, let's go ahead and create 3 components. We'll create a blog component, a blog content component, and a navbar component. And we're not going to worry about how we're going to organize it. We're just going to make it as flat as possible for this demo. Okay, then let's go ahead and do an ng-generate component blog-m app. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and generate ng-generate component blog component -m app. All right. And then the last one, ng-generate component navbar -m app. And now you can see we have components here. We have a blog component, a blog content component, and a navbar component. Okay, great. Okay, let's add some additional packages. We'll add Bulma, and then also ngx markdown and ngx pagination. Okay, let's add GraphQL code-cogen, so we can automatically generate our code through our queries. So we'll create a gen GraphQL command. Now let's go to our angular.json file here, and let's add some styles here. Add source, assets, fonts, styles.css, node module, prism.js, themes, okid.css, node module, prism.js, plugins, line numbers, node modules, prisms, plugins, line highlights, and then for our scripts, let's do node modules mark, lib, marked.js, node modules, prism.js, and then the components for C#, prism.css, and prism line numbers.js, and prisms line highlights.js. Okay, let's go to nav navbar component here, and let's look at the code here. This will create our navbar, and so we have our background color dark gray, and then we have our container, our navbar brand, our toggle navbar, and then we have our blog menu, and then we have a search menu. Then we also added a search container and search list when we do our search. Okay, let's go to the styles here, and for the styles here, just set up normal CSS for the navbar and different aspects to make it look nice. And for the component, we have our search query, GraphQL, search query, and our search query document. So that's all part of the GraphQL that is generated. And then we have a constructor that we're injecting the blog search, and then also the router. And so we have a search where we have a terms, and we have a pipe for the blog data, and we have a navigate and a non-destroy to unsubscribe from our observable. So, okay, great. Okay, let's go to the blog component here, and here is the HTML to display the actual blog listings, and here we have a ng4 which will let blog a blog post, and it'll cycle all through those and put the images on there. And then we also have pagination here, so that's all set up as well. And for the CSS, we just have CSS for the pagination and make things look nice. And then for TypeScript, we have a before each to set up the blog when they go into the blog content. Okay, now for the blog content, we display a hero area for the blog and also the banner. And then down here, we do a blog post, and do the images, and we display the subtitle, and then we do the markdown rendering right here. Okay, here's for the CSS. So we display the background image there and set up all the styles for the page. And here we have a on-a-net class, and have a constructor where we're injecting the active route, the router, and the current blog post GraphQL. And then on the net, we subscribe to an observable, and then on a page change, we navigate to the blog. Okay, in order to generate your GraphQL code for Angular, you need to run your headless CMS. So let's go ahead and run our Orchard Core Headless CMS application. It's right here. Let's just go ahead and run it. Okay, we're up and running. So now let's go ahead and do a npm run gen GraphQL. And there you go. We're generated from these GraphQL files here that were taken from the Orchard Core GraphQL interface. So we have blogpost.graphql, current blog.graphql, and also search query for the search. Okay, let's go ahead and test everything. So let's fire up the Orchard CMS, which is the headless CMS application. So go up there and click on the green triangle to start running. Okay, let's go ahead and log in to the dashboard and go to the dashboard, and let's go to the blog, and let's go ahead and create a new blog post, and we'll say blog post. This is a new blog post. And let's add an image, and let's upload an image, and let's see, sure, we'll add Tux open, click on him, and hit OK. This is a blog post about Tux. And let's go ahead and publish that. All right, so let's go back to our blog, and we have two blog posts. We have our new blog post, which is Tux, and says this is a blog post about Tux. And we also have the original one. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep that running, minimize these guys, and let's go ahead and do a ng serve-o. And there we go. We have our Angular 9 application connected to our Orchard Core Headless web application through using GraphQL. So here's the first blog post, and there's the second blog post. And then we can actually click into the blog post and read that. Go back. And let's even try search here. So we know that search works here. And we'll search for exploration. And we'll do a search, and there's that. Now let's go ahead and try the Angular app. Let's go to search, and let's type, let's see, exploration, and voila, there we go. It all works. This is great. Go black. All right. To recap, we created an Orchard Core Headless CMS application and also an Angular 9 client application. And we were able to use GraphQL to query the blog post and display the blog post and images in the Angular client. And we also created a search utility where we could actually search for a keyword. The query would come back with the blog post. Now, if you missed or didn't understand something, that's okay. There's a detailed blog post that describes all the steps. There is also a GitHub repository with the complete source code. All this information is in the video description. If you like this video, please click on the thumbs up icon. Also, please subscribe and click on the bell icon to get a notification when I release the next video. Thank you for watching.